Look what we found. It is an old Philips tape player. Sorry about that. This is the model. And since I've heard that this has a microphone input that you can use, we will try to modify it in order to make it a guitar amp. Obviously we will need to service this thing. We will see that later. And here you can see the inside of this thing. This is the head that reproduces the sound. Some input jacks and output jacks. This thing's turn the tape in order to listen or record something. I think the speaker is under 4 inches or something. And let's go to the good part. Okay, here we have our power transformer, our output transformer, electrolytic can type. It's probably dead. Here is a Philips Minivat ECL82. Another one, ECL82. This is the power tube. And I think we have 2 preamp tubes here. I will try to show you. Okay, ECL83 Philips. And see the other one. This one's a tough one. Oh, it's not a preamp tube, it's something else probably. Sorry, it's really hard to do it with one hand. What's that? EF86. It's probably a rectifier tube. I'll check it out. Okay, I see some things that are in very good condition here. And I'm happy to see those film type capacitors and not paper and wax and stuff that would be probably dead and need to be replaced. What I have in mind about that is that I could replace all the electrolytic capacitors, of course the big one here, and find a way to hook our guitar on this one and see how it sounds. I hope it will work. More on that later. Okay, everybody. I finally managed to have the time to find the time to get around this thing and service it and do some modifications in order to make it work for my guitar. So first of all, we got rid of all the electrolytics capacitors, and here are the replacements. The voltage is measured very nice. I don't know if you remember that there were many more components here that I've removed in order to win some space and to lose some weight here. Here was the motor for the transformer for the rotation and some other components that I've removed. I hope I will find a way to remove also this thing, because it seems to be very heavy. I've also installed a fuse. I don't know why, but it was not included here. It looks like there is a fuse in the schematic, but right here there's a fuse, but I couldn't find it here, so I installed a new one. In order to make it work more appropriate for guitar, after I got lost a lot in this schematic, which is chaotic, I managed to get around a few things. I installed the 3-prong cord. Here we have an input for the guitar, and here we have an output jack. The speaker is still working, but if I want to install a new speaker, this is a jack with a switch, so every time I plug here my external cabinet, this speaker is out of operation, so we can have sound from our cabinet. I've tested it, and it sounds nice, but after a few minutes of operation with the external cabinet, the sound faded out a couple of times. In the beginning I thought that it was a power tube problem, but for the moment, when the amp works with the internal speaker, there doesn't seem to be a problem. I took a measure, and it looks like the speaker is on 12 ohms, so I think I need to find something to do about that. For the moment, my input jack is here on this small pen diode. I don't remember on my previous take of the video I mentioned that was fancy rectifier, but it looks like it is a pen diode. I tried a pen diode actually, if I remember well. Anyway, so for the moment we're using this input. Next I'm planning to use this ECC83 part input, but for the moment I use this one, and in order to adjust it and make it sound good with guitar, I installed here a small resistor, not quite small, I don't remember, it was 68K, which makes some filtering. Otherwise there is a lot of bass, and the sound is awful. So I still haven't managed to make it work directly, and in order to make it play, I have to push the play button, because there is very complicated switching here that I didn't manage to find out how it works, and it's probably better to leave it like that. Next, I'm going to try to figure out to do something about the external cabinet and how to make it work without any problems. Find what I can do with the impedance, and perhaps I can install another input jack using the triode input. And maybe I will have an audio sample for you to listen. Okay, here I have the schematic. I just want to talk a little bit about the modifications I did in order to make it more appropriate for guitar. Since the frequency response of this amp was, let's say, complete, I mean, they didn't want to lose any frequencies during the amplification, because this thing is supposed to reproduce music. So the most important thing that really changed the sound of this thing is the 68K resistor in the input of the signal. If I have to do one thing about this thing, it would be this resistor. So even though it looked like it needed a little more filtering, so I added a capacitor here. I think I ended up with 15 nanofarad and not 22. Also, I reduced this capacitor from 100 nano to 27 nanofarad, and yes, there is this value exists. I had an old Aero vintage axial capacitor I used here, and I experimented with this value. This is the tone control. I tried higher and lower values. I think I ended up with 1.2 nano. Seemed to work fine. If the results are the best, no, they are not, because I didn't manage to fix a few things on the frequency response. I think this had to do with this tube here, that everything is installed on a PCB, and it's not hardwired point to point. So if there is not a way here to install something, you can do anything. So the bias of this tube is not able to be changed, so I think that was a problem. So what I ended up is I've installed two cables that goes, one goes to pin 8 of this pentode, and the other one goes on pin 2 of this ECC83. I also installed a switch that I can change in order to choose what tube to operate. So here's the thing. If I want to normally play this, I will have to push the play button on the device, and our signal will go on the pentode and then on the second part of this triode and continue. If I want to use the triode, I will flip my switch, the one I have installed, and if I leave the play button engaged, then our signal goes on the pin 2 here, goes there to the second part of the ECC83, and then moves forward. And there's another combination of that which sends the signal from the first part of this tube and then goes to the pentode and then the second part of the ECC83. In my opinion, the best sounding one is when the signal goes straight to the pentode. The gain is fine, but the frequency is more appropriate for guitar. This is the one that you're going to listen to on when we continue with the video. Okay, we're plugged in. For the moment we use the internal speaker. Volume is about 9 o'clock. It's not very loud. Water. We can go pretty high, you know. I live in a building with many apartments, so. Okay, this is 12 o'clock. You can hear the breakout. Here comes the fun part. We will put the volume on, let's say 10, and we will plug in the speaker of this cabinet, which is an Eminence, by the way. By the way, we're using a Les Paul, so there's a lot of signal going in, and it's kind of dull. The tone is almost 3 o'clock, and we will dial it up. Let's go till 12 o'clock on the volume. Okay, thanks for watching.